In the classic anime of Knights of the Zodiac, there are some original characters that were not developed by Masami Kurumada, who is the original author of the manga. And that's why they are considered filler characters. Many of these characters are powerful knights who can be either allies or enemies of Athena. And among these filler knights, there are 7 who stand out for their powers and story. Hello, knights and amazons. Welcome to the channel Sempre Quiz Saber. This is Wes speaking. And in today's video, I'm going to show you the 7 most powerful and remarkable filler knights from the classic Knights of the Zodiac anime. Did you like the topic? Comment who you think will be on this list. Also, subscribe, turn on notifications, and let's start this awesome video. Knight number 1, the Crystal Knight. Starting with the one who is without a doubt the most iconic, most loved, and most respected filler character by the fans. I'm talking about the Crystal Knight, Hyoga's master. In Masami Kurumada's original manga, Hyoga the Swan's direct master is Camus of Aquarius, the Gold Knight. But at the time the anime was being produced, the identity of Hyoga's master had not yet been revealed in the manga. So Toei Animation created the Crystal Knight to be Hyoga's master in the eternal ice of eastern Siberia. The Crystal Knight is the ultimate symbol of honor and purity among the Ice Knights. He was revered by the people of the Siberian villages and taught Hyoga not only how to manipulate cold air to unleash the diamond dust, but also essential values like passion and justice. Later, when the manga reached the 12 Houses saga and introduced Camus, the anime adapted the story differently, turning the Crystal Knight into Camus' disciple. In other words, Camus became the master of Hyoga's master in the anime, so as not to contradict the story that had already been told in the adaptation, while still trying to maintain some kind of connection between Camus and Hyoga. The tragedy of the Crystal Knight is one of the saddest arcs at the beginning of the classic anime. Summoned to the sanctuary to swear loyalty to the new Grand Master, he realizes the intrinsic evil in the leader of the sanctuary and tries to rebel. Thus, Grandmaster Ares uses the fearsome Satan Imperial on him, a demonic attack that controls the victim's mind, turning the kind Crystal Master into a bloodthirsty tyrant. Under the sanctuary's control, the Crystal Saint returns to Siberia and enslaves the local people, including little Jacob, to build a colossal ice pyramid that would serve as a symbol of the sanctuary's power. Hyoga is forced to fight to the death against his master, who was like a father figure to him and whom he loved. The fight is dramatic, a true clash between freezing cosmos, and ends with Hyoga defeating his master as Satan Imperial is broken. The Crystal Saint uses his last strength to destroy the ice pyramid, and dies in the arms of his student. The strength of the Crystal Knight was undeniably comparable to that of a high-ranking Silver Saint, and his emotional impact on Hyoga's journey makes him an immortal legend in the hearts of fans. Knight number 2, Dokrates. He was the filler knight who took several protagonists working together to bring down, and who had connections with Seiya's past. The colossal giant Dokrates was a true monster over 2 meters tall, even surpassing the size of the Taurus Knight. Dokrates is the older brother of Cassios, that same brute who had his ear cut off by Seiya in the fight for the Pegasus cloth back in the first episode. Dokrates harbored a deadly hatred and an unrelenting thirst for revenge against Pegasus for having humiliated his brother. Dokrates enters the story after the Galactic War arc. Bringing a giant, Dokrates is a reality check for the Bronze Saints. He and his subordinates invade the Grot Colosseum arena right after Zeke and his Black Saints stole parts of the Sagittarius gold cloth. Dokrates shows no mercy. With his absurd strength, he literally creates craters in the ground and destroys the scenery with ease. Even the Tokyo police were sent to arrest him. His main attack is the devastating Hercules Punch. Dokrates concentrates all his Cosmo in his massive fists and unleashes powerful impact blasts, tearing up the ground in their path. During the confrontation, he kidnapped Sayori Kido at the mansion and forced the Bronze Saints to face him again. Seiya and Shun couldn't inflict any significant damage. Shun's chains were repelled by his absurd physique, and Seiya's meteors felt like nothing but tickles on his armored suit. Just like the others, it didn't have a defined constellation. It was an armor specially created for the anime. The only way to defeat him was to discover his weak point through a coordinated strategy. Cygnus Hyoga used his freezing Cosmo, focusing it specifically on Dokrates' huge legs. Since the giant was too heavy, freezing his legs prevented him from moving and threw off his balance. Only at this moment of total vulnerability did Seiya and Shun manage to combine their simultaneous attacks, finally bringing the giant down. The fact that Dokrates required tactical planning and teamwork from 3 Bronze Saints proves once and for all that he was one of the greatest threats among the filler characters in the first phase of the series. Number 3. Araquine of Tarantula. This is the warrior who starred in some of the most tense and agonizing moments of Seiya's journey. After the battle against Algol of Perseus, Shiryu was blind, and Seiya desperately needed to find the legendary Water of Life in Jamiel, the mysterious land where the Gold Saint of Ares lives and repairs the armors. It is exactly in the arid and dangerous mountains of Jamiel that Araquine enters the scene. He was secretly sent by Python, who is Gigas's right-hand man in the sanctuary, and who reported directly to the Grand Master Ares. Araquine's mission was to intercept Seiya and recover the Pegasus armor. Araquine's armor lacks an official constellation, but he is considered a Silver Saint. Araquine's great trump card and what makes him so dangerous is his special ability, the Tarantula web. Instead of using direct impact attacks, he shoots an incredibly strong spider web made of Cosmo that traps his opponent. Araquine's web works like a parasite. It literally drains the victim's Cosmo and life energy continuously until the opponent completely loses consciousness or dies. Seiya was without his armor and was suddenly caught by this technique. Pegasus was completely subdued and was on the verge of defeat. And Araquine was so relentless that Seiya had to be saved by the Steel Saint named Sho. Araquine's ability to absorb Cosmo puts the Saint in an advantageous position in a direct battle, proving that brute strength isn't always the most dangerous factor in a war. Saint number 4, Sho of the Sky. Sho, the Steel Saint of the Sky, is one of the anime-exclusive saints. Here, Toei Animation took a bold step and introduced a purely science fiction concept within the Greek mythology of Saint Seiya. The Steel Saints do not possess natural Cosmo, and their armors are not blessed by Athena. They are the result of the Kido Project, a secret initiative by the late Mitsumasa Kido, together with the brilliant Dr. Samurai. Mitsumasa Kido knew that the journey of the Bronze Saints would be brutal, and that they would need support in case they faced enemies far stronger than themselves before they were ready. And that's why he funded the creation of high-tech mechanical armors. Sho is the leader of this trio. He wears the steel armor that represents the sky and has the form of a bird. The armor has an original form as an aerial vehicle, and it transforms into the parts of Sho's armor in an assembly sequence that looks like it came straight out of a mecha anime or Super Sentai. It also reminds us of the Transformers series. This armor also has a turbine attached to the left arm, which has the incredible ability to absorb and nullify attacks based on Cosmo and elements. When Araquine was about to destroy Seiya, Sho appeared. He activated his equipment and simply drained the enemy's energy attack, nullifying the Tarantula web technique. Besides that, Sho is trained in advanced martial arts and has agility that rivals that of a Silver Saint. He and his companions also helped the Bronze Saints in the battle against Babel of Centaurus, proving that human technology, when taken to the extreme, could go head-to-head with the power of the Silver Saints. But unfortunately, the Steel Saints mysteriously disappeared from the classic saga. Shortly before the battle at the 12 Houses, their disappearance had no explanation. They would only become prominent again many years later, in the Saint Seiya Omega Saga, where they returned and led an army of Steel Saints that supported the Sanctuary. Night number 5, the Fire Saint. When the Sanctuary was desperate to recover the helmet of the Sagittarius Gold Cloth, which was in the possession of the Grodd Foundation, the Fire Knight appeared. This warrior had no official guardian constellation. Being a kind of private elite soldier of the Jiggers, the former right-hand man of Grandmaster Saga in the Sanctuary. Jiggers was in a tight spot, Grandmaster Ares. He was losing patience with the consecutive failures to recover the gold cloth. So Jiggers decided to summon the Fire Saint for this mission. He has a unique ability of extreme pyrokinesis, manipulating fire through his Cosmo. And he also attacked the cabin in the mountains, where Saori Kido, Shun of Andromeda, and Tatsumi were hiding, setting everything around on fire. The battle against Shun was brutal. The Fire Saint surrounded Shun with his power, burning everything around. Shun was completely defenseless and about to be burned alive. That's when one of the most epic entrances in anime history happens. From within the enemy's fire, Phoenix Ikki appears. The Fire Saint tried to match his strength against Phoenix, but he found out the hard way that his flames were nothing compared to the hellfire of Death Queen Island. With Phoenix's Phantom Fist, Ikki destroyed the warrior's mind and finished him off mercilessly. Night number 6, Gisthi and the Ghost Saints. Do you remember the Ghost Knights of the Caribbean arc? Gisthi was the commander of the Ghost Knights, a group of renegades and brutal warriors who wore slimy armor representing marine fauna, like dolphin, sea serpent, and Medusa. Gisthi's story is connected to China of Ophiuchus, since the two trained together at the sanctuary, but for sinking several ships in a bloody way and harming marine life. The former Grandmaster banished Gisthi and her subordinates, exiling her to Spectre Island, a rocky fortress isolated in the Caribbean Sea. And during the crisis of the gold armor, Grandmaster Ares then decided to use Gisthi as a pawn, promising total forgiveness and a return to the sanctuary if she could recover the Sagittarius helmet from Seiya and his friends. So she managed to hijack the giant oil tanker from the Keto Foundation to lure the Bronze Saints. She used the illusion of a ghost ship to terrify them. In hand-to-hand combat, she was as agile and aggressive as Sheena herself. Her main attack, the Claws of Hell, is similar to the devastating technique used by Sheena. In addition, she has the Spectre's Force attack, which allows her to create illusions. Seiya had to face Gisthi on her own turf, where she used illusions to her advantage. At the climax of the battle, when Gisthi was about to kill Seiya, the helmet of the Sagittarius armor strikes her and breaks her mask, giving Seiya the opportunity he needed to finish the fight with his Pegasus meteors. Number 7, Spartan. This is a character often forgotten by fans, but whose level of telekinesis is truly frightening. Being considered a silver saint without a constellation, Spartan is one of the warriors who accompanied Sheena and Algol of Perseus on the mission to ambush the Bronze Saints when Seiya, Shiryu, and Shun. They were flying in a private jet from the Grot Foundation heading to the sanctuary. The aircraft suddenly lost control and crashed on a deserted island in the Mediterranean Sea. And Spartan, who was on a cliff, used his tremendous psychokinetic strength to literally bring down the plane. And Spartan possessed an impressive mastery of his telepathic powers. And during the battle on the island, he managed to hold back Shiryu's advance while keeping his distance using his mental powers. However, when he goes to help Sheena, who had been defeated by Seiya, the Medusa shield of Algol of Perseus ends up reflecting its petrifying shine, turning Spartan into stone. Meanwhile, Shiryu has that legendary and bloody battle against Algold, where he pierces his own eyes to win. And after Algold dies, the petrification is undone. Spartan wakes up. He realizes that the Silver Saint was defeated. He carries Sheena, who was also injured, and runs away. He is one of the only filler villains who simply survived after facing the Bronze Saints, and left, and was never seen again in the story. Did you enjoy remembering these 7 filler saints who have amazing moments and abilities? Comment below who you think was left out. And of course, thank you for watching until the end and see you next time. Burn your Cosmo to infinity.